When you're standing in a half-finished shop floor, a hot pipe or a cold spot on a machine can be the difference between a smooth day and a costly shutdown. So who's the Fluke Ti105 actually good for? Who should skip it? And does it justify its price for the everyday professional? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Those are the 3 questions I keep hearing from people who are about to spend a few $100 on a thermal imager. Let's unpack the real-world considerations before you click Add to Cart. First off, the biggest hesitation most buyers have is whether a handheld thermal camera will actually simplify the troubleshooting they already do with a standard multimeter and a handheld infrared thermometer. In my research, I talked to a handful of HVAC technicians, a couple of factory maintenance engineers, and a small business electrician who all said they were fed up with the guesswork when a component looked fine but felt hot. The Ti105 promises to fuse a visual image with a thermal overlay, letting you see exactly where the heat is concentrated. In practice, that means you can walk up to a heat exchanger point and instantly spot a fouled section without having to take the system apart. For someone who spends half their day crawling under panels, that visual cue can shave minutes off a diagnostic routine, minutes that add up to hours over a year. Who should buy the Ti105? If you're a professional who routinely inspects electrical panels, mechanical equipment, or building envelopes, the blend of a 30 Hz refresh rate and a 160,120 sensor is enough to keep the image fluid while you move around. The 3.5-inch color LCD makes the thermal data easy to read on site, and the IP54 rating gives you confidence that a splash of coolant or a bit of dust won't short-circuit the device. Small business owners who service HVAC, refrigeration, or preventative maintenance contracts will find the price point reasonable because the camera replaces a lot of guesswork and reduces the need for multiple handheld tools. If you're already paying for a separate infrared thermometer and a visual inspection camera, the Ti105 consolidates those functions into one pocket-sized unit. On the flip side, if you're a hobbyist who only occasionally needs to check a leaky pipe or spot a cold spot in a home remodel, the Ti105 may be overkill. The temperature range of -20°C to +250°C covers most industrial applications, but for a homeowner who just wants to locate a draft, a cheaper budget thermal camera will likely meet the need. The device is also not a replacement for a calibrated temperature probe in a lab setting. The uncooled microbolometer sensor is great for spot checks, but doesn't meet the strict accuracy requirements of scientific research. So if you're looking for a tool that will give you a certified 0.5C accuracy across the entire range, you'll be better off with a more specialized instrument. Now, let's talk practical strengths. The first thing you'll notice once you power it on is how quickly the camera locks onto a target. The IR fusion technology overlays the thermal map onto a live visual scene, which eliminates the common, hot-spot-only view that can be confusing for newcomers. In real-world scenarios, say you're on a construction site, at dawn the blended image lets you see both the thermal contrast and the physical context. That's a huge advantage when you need to identify a faulty connection in a panel full of wires. The 30 Hz refresh rate also means the image isn't jerky as you walk around, which is essential for keeping the camera steady when you're holding it at arm's length. Another practical upside is the durability. The IP54 rating isn't a marketing buzzword here. It translates into a device you can toss into a dusty warehouse or wipe down after splashing coolant without fearing damage. I've read anecdotes from field technicians who dropped the unit from a ladder height, and it kept working, which suggests the housing and internal components are robust enough for daily wear and tear. The weaknesses are more subtle but worth mentioning. The sensor resolution, at 160,120 pixels, is modest compared to pricier thermal cameras that push 320,240 or higher. In a tightly packed electrical cabinet, the lower resolution can make it harder to pinpoint a particular component unless you zoom in, which reduces the field of view. Some users have reported that when you get too close to a small hotspot, the image can become pixelated, forcing you to back up and lose detail on the exact location. That's a trade-off you'll need to accept unless you're willing to spend extra for a higher resolution model. Battery life is another consideration. The Ti105 runs off a rechargeable lithium-ion pack that lasts roughly 4 to 5 hours of continuous use. For a day-long inspection job, you may need to carry a spare battery or keep a charger handy, especially if you're also using the camera's LCD for documentation. The device does not have a removable battery, so swapping isn't as fast as swapping AA cells in some older models. If you're often on back-to-back jobs, factor in that.